Welcome to yet another edition, an exciting edition actually, of the Best of Portland. I'm your host, John Dunn, and we welcome you here today. We have a very interesting conversation going to be taking place in just a few minutes with our guest today, Jeffrey Laeng of Avenue Mortgage. He is District Manager of Avenue Mortgage, and also he carries a title that is rather unique. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Your card, you gave me your calling card, and it showed a title of a CMPS. What is a CMPS?
It's a designation. It's called Certified Mortgage Planning Specialist. That's a designation that less than 2% of all mortgage originators in the United States have. And one of the requirements of this is you have to take an extra 20 hours of education per year above any state and or federal requirements out there. It really allows me to help my clients manage their cash flow more effectively, as well as manage their mortgages, to really help them get the most out of their mortgage, because we all want to become financially independent.
That must be a tough certification to get if only 2% of loan officers have it.
Absolutely, but you have to distinguish yourself from every other loan officer out there.
I agree. On the news, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's been covered almost on every broadcast station, and that is the topic of foreclosures. Can you kind of address for us, why are foreclosures rising right now? You know, this thing started back in 2007, 2008, and yet we seem to be having a real surge.
Right. It's quite the talk on the news. You're absolutely right. I think there's a few reasons, but one of which is that you got unemployment. You got rising unemployment. Even though they say that's stabilizing a little bit, there is still rising unemployment out there. The other big factor is that something we haven't seen so much in the past is people are willing to walk away from their homes now like they never have before. One of the big reasons is that they're realizing they owe more on their home than what it's worth right now. So they're willing to take the risk that, yeah, they might not be able to get financing for the next few years if they walk away from their home, but they don't feel like the market's going to come back and help them out.
Now, can the average person buy a foreclosed home?
Oh, not just, you have to be able to have good credit, but there's things that go into a foreclosure. If you're at the courthouse steps or you're at an auction, you have to have cash to be able to buy the home then. But if you get to the process before it gets to a foreclosed home, then yes, the average person can still buy a foreclosed home or what we call a short sale home.
Now, I heard just the other day on CNN that only 4% of loans in default are getting modified or refinanced. 4%, there's like 7 million or more homes in default. Why such a low number?
Well, I think a part of it is, you know, people don't have the jobs like they used to either. So they got these homes, they got these loans when they had the income to support it, and now all of a sudden they don't have the income. And you're right, modifications are taking 7, 8, 9 months, even a year in some cases. In fact, I just talked to a client the other day, and he was going through a modification, and I've been trying to help him through the process with his bank, and it's taken 9 months to be able to try to get this thing modified. And they've offered him 4.5%. He started the modification, making these modified payments. Now they're saying he has to go back through the process because the appraisal they did is a lot less than what the loan is worth.
Okay, so he's lost some value.
Exactly.
Okay.
And sometimes also when they do modify them, the people end up losing their job or they aren't able to make the payments, so it goes back into modification. It also goes back to the fact that if they owe $200,000 and it's worth $160,000, $170,000, they're really thinking, why am I making these payments?
Okay, so that accounts probably for the whopping 51% of loans that have already been modified creeping back into default.
Absolutely,
correct. Okay, so it's the job market. Well, we need more jobs.
It's a big factor, yes.
Yeah, okay, well, it certainly is in the news, and it's certainly gaining momentum.
Absolutely.
With these values, it's been my understanding that that determines whether or not you're going to get a good loan to value. How are appraisers able, with foreclosures and everything else, to actually come up with an appraisal?
Right. Yeah, I'm not an appraiser, obviously, but I'm just going to share with you what I know about what appraisers talk about. They are able to, on their reports, state if a home that they're using as a comparable sale was a distressed home or was in foreclosure. If they're going to use that home, they can state that we did adjust this particular subject property up a certain amount above and beyond what this other comparable was because it was a distressed home.
Okay.
In that neighborhood.
I think I'm getting a picture here, and it's not necessarily a good one. We're going to take just a little break. We'll be right back, but we do have a clip that we want you to take a look at this time. Jeff, you've got a lot more questions to answer. Are you ready for this?
Fire away.
Fire away. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
I'm John Dunn, your host with the Best of Portland. See you again next week.